What is up, everyone? Player One Gaming here, back with another video. And today I'm going to be reading over every Big Ten starting quarterback from worst to best. I haven't read through this yet, so I have no idea what it's going to be. But let's see. I'm going to make my prediction for who I think is going to be number one. I think it's going to be Penn State. Trace McSorley, I think he'll be at 1. And I think 14 will be either Rutgers or Maryland, one of the two. Maybe Illinois. I'm gonna say Rutgers. So let's get on with it now. Ranking every Big Ten starting quarterback from worst to best. So let's see. I guess he wants us to read this first. College football season kicks off this weekend. That didn't take any time at all. And that means Big Ten games are right around the corner. The conference is considered one of the strongest in the country, heading into 2018 with 5 teams ranked in preseason top 25, and fewer other teams with potential to improve. But one of the biggest questions facing the Big Ten comes at the most important position, quarterback. There aren't many stable returning starters in the Big Ten this season, and some teams haven't even named a starter with the opener about a week away. Here's a look at all 14 quarterbacks' situations ranked from worst to best. Zach Anixstad, Minnesota. Okay, I got it wrong. It's a true freshman. Second-year head coach P.J. Fleck will go with a true freshman walk-on at quarterback this season. Anixstad, whatever his name is, isn't a typical walk-on. He was a 3-star quarterback recruit in last year's class and had scholarship offers from several major schools, including Illinois. Minnesota's quarterback play was awful last season, as the Golden Gophers completed fewer than half of their attempts and threw more interceptions than touchdown passes. Fleck can't feel completely comfortable going with a true freshman out of the gate, but he doesn't have many options. Number 13 is A.J. Bush, Illinois. So I was close. I said I thought of Illinois, but they're at 13. Last season, 7 for 11, 63.6% for 99 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions, 19 rushes for 129 yards. So I guess he was a backup last year, is what they're making it sound like. One of the ways the college football recruiting landscape has changed in recent years is the increase in transfers, and Bush has taken full advantage. Originally a Nebraska enrollee out of high school, Bush transferred after 2 seasons to Iowa Western Community College. He joined Virginia Tech last season and spent the season backing up Josh Jackson. Now his graduate transfer, Bush will be Division I starter for the first time. He was once a 3-star dual-threat quarterback and gives the Illini an element on offense that it didn't have with Jeff George. All right. Oh, man, I was so close. Rutgers was at 12. Arthur Sitkowski, Rutgers. Last season, true freshman. Head coach Chris Ash hasn't officially made an announcement yet, but Sitkowski is in a 3-way battle with Gio Reasongano and Jonathan Lewis for the starting quarterback job. While the other two combined for 138 pass attempts last season, they weren't exactly inspiring, and Sitkowski would give Rutgers fans a reason to be excited. Hold on, let me read the rest of this. A 3-star commit to the 2018 class, the true freshman was a top 400 player in the country. He was once committed to Miami and had offers for Michigan, Ohio State, and Wisconsin, so it's clear Sitkowski has talent. He'll have his struggles as a true freshman starting in the Big Ten, but Sitkowski has more upside than Rutgers' other options. I'm going to say, I want to make my prediction for where Shea Patterson's going to be. I think he's going to be either at 5 or 6. I think 5 is a good place, to be honest with you. Maryland, Tyrell Pigram or Kasem Hill. Last season, Hill, 8 for 21, 85.7% for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, 12 carries for 60 yards and 1 TD. Last season, Pigram, 9 for 12, 75% for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, 11 carries for 64 yards and 1 touchdown. I think they're going to go with Hill. With Maryland battling a major scandal involving the death of a player and possible mistreatment of others, a starting quarterback hasn't been announced. In fact, it's difficult to say whether the Terrapins will choose Hill or Pigram. Hill is a year younger with a higher ranked recruit and played well in minimal snaps last season. He has a slight edge from the outside looking in. But Pigram won the starting job out of camp last season and was playing well in the opener against Texas before a season-ending ACL injury. Hill was a 4-star quarterback in the 2017 class, and Pigram was a 3-star in the 2016 class. Shoot, what is it doing? Why is it... Pigram completed 9 of 12 passes against Texas before the injury, and Hill came in to polish off the win with a 40-yard pass and a rushing touchdown. He threw for 230 yards, won on 18 of 21 passing before a season-ending injury against Central Florida. Maryland has 2 viable options at quarterback, and either way, the position can't be as injury-riddled as it was last season. Number 10 is Purdue, David Blau or Elijah Sindelar. Blau went 102 for 157, 65%, for 1,103 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Last season, Sindelar went 187 for 329, 56.8%, for 2,099 yards and 18 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. That's a lot more. I think they're going to go with Blau here. Rising Purdue head coach Jeff Brom has a difficult decision to make at quarterback, as Blau comes in with a longer history of success, while Sindelar played last season. Blau led the Big Ten in passing in 2016, throwing for 3,352 yards, but he has threw 21 picks to go with 25 touchdowns. He won the starting job last year and completed 65% of his passes through 9 games before a season-ending injury. Sindelar was seeing significant action before Blau was shut down for the year, and he ultimately led the team with 2,099 passing yards and 18 touchdown passes. Brom knows both quarterbacks can play in the Big Ten, so he has his choice. Number 9 is Nebraska, Tristan Gebbia or Adrian Martinez. Both freshmen, so that's not good. They're both freshmen. We don't know how good they're going to be for Nebraska. The hiring of Scott Frost marks the beginning of an exciting new era for Nebraska football, and choosing a starting quarterback will be one of his first truly impactful decisions. Frost is choosing between redshirt freshman Gebbia or true freshman Martinez, who was an early enrollee this season. Though they were both 4-star recruits, Martinez was ranked slightly higher than Gebbia, and he's also a dual-threat quarterback. Martinez and Gebbia were both coveted by Alabama, so Frost has plenty of talent to work with. Nebraska hit rock bottom last year, and 2018 will likely be a major improvement under Frost. However, whoever he picks for starting quarterback could lead this program's return to the national scene. Solid returning starters. Number 8, Peyton Ramsey, Indiana. Last season, 134 for 2 out of 205, 65.4%, 10 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, 92 carries for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ramsey took over for turnover-prone Richard Lago midway through last season and ran with the job as a redshirt freshman. Though he's considered a pro-style quarterback, Ramsey proved he can make plays with his feet last season, rushing 92 times for 226 yards and a pair of touchdowns. He also completed more than 65% of his passes on the year. Indiana faces a grueling schedule every season in the Big Ten East, and Ramsey struggled against Michigan and Penn State last season. Now that he's the starter to open the year, he'll have to show up against better competition. Nate Stanley, Iowa. Last season was 196 for 351, 55.8%, and 26 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Iowa will have a reliable starter back this season in Stanley, though he doesn't have the high ceiling of some of the players ranked below him on this list. Stanley earned the starting job for the first time last season and performed well, throwing for 2,437 yards and 26 touchdowns, though he only completed 55.8% of his passes. Stanley only threw 6 interceptions in a full 13 games. The Hawkeyes don't have a superstar at quarterback, but they have a player who will throw for around 200 yards per game and take care of the ball for a run-first offense that also relies on its defense. That's a positive. Number 6 is Clayton Thorson from Northwestern. Last season, he was 262 for 434, 60.4% for 15 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. The 2017 season was a bit of a disappointment for Thorson after he exploded for more than 3,000 passing yards and 20 touchdowns as a sophomore. Thorson increased his completion percentage to 60.4% last year, but he was much more careless with the football. He threw 12 interceptions to just 15 touchdowns and played poorly in some of the team's biggest games. While the offense line certainly didn't help Thorson, he finished the season with very strange rushing stats. 87 carries for 23 yards. Holy crap, and 8 touchdowns. Thorson uses his legs as a weapon in the red zone and has shown flashes of being an excellent passer over the last 2 years. If he can get the interceptions under control and avoid injury, he could be the best quarterback in the Big Ten West. Alex Hornibrook, Wisconsin, is at number 5. So Shea Patterson's either a 4, 3, 2, or 1. I know it's not 1. It can't be 1. So I'm going to say it's either 4, 3, or 2. Alex Hornibrook is Wisconsin. Last season, he went 198 for 318, 62.3%, 25 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. The pressure is on for Hornibrook as he will start the season for a top five team with championship expectations. Wisconsin is a heavy favorite to win the Big Ten West Division and play for a playoff spot in Indianapolis, but Hornibrook will have to improve to get there. Inconsistency with Hornibrook's enemy last season inconsistency was Hornibrook's enemy last season, as he was excellent in a handful of games and terrible in others. He threw for 258 yards and 4 touchdowns in the Orange Bowl win against Miami, and that's what fans are hoping to see carry over into 2018. Hornibrook completed 62.3% of his passes and threw for 25 touchdowns in 2017, so he's good enough to be an upper-tier Big Ten quarterback. But if he plays like he did against Michigan and Ohio State, the Badgers could drop a couple of games and fall short of their goals. All right, we're on to the top-tier quarterbacks, according to this. And it's not Shea Patterson at 4 either. So Brian Lewerke of Michigan State. Last season, he was 246 for 417. Oh my gosh, 246 for 417, 59%, 20 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, 123 carries for 559 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Wow, that's a lot. This was the toughest decision of the top half of the list, as the starting quarterbacks in the state of Michigan have a lot of talent and also some uncertainty. Lewerke was the rock for a Michigan State team that badly needed a bounce-back season in 2017. Totaling 25 touchdowns in a 10-win campaign, he's underrated nationally, and he might end up looking underrated on this list by the end of the season. Lewerke showed how good he can be when he noticed back-to-back 400-yard passing games against Northwestern and Penn State. Though he only threw for 94 yards in tough conditions against Michigan, he made a difference on the ground, rushing for 61 yards and a touchdown. Though he did go through the growing pains of a first-year starter fast last season, Lewerke showed positive signs in almost every game, whether through the air or on the ground. While he only threw for more than 250 yards in 3 games and never rushed for more than 81 yards, he was fairly consistent and should put up better stats this season with the trust of the coaching staff. Michigan State is back to being a preseason contender for the Big Ten title, and Lewerke is the main reason for those expectations. There he is, Shea Patterson. Big surprise. Michigan's. Oh, wait, I already read that. Shea Patterson's at number 3. Last season, he went 166 for 260, 63.8%, 17 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Patterson is one of the toughest quarterbacks to project in the Big Ten, but nobody has a higher ceiling. As a former number 1 overall quarterback recruit, Patterson is as talented as the 2 quarterbacks ranked above him on this list. He earned playing time as a true freshman for Ole Miss and threw for 880 yards in 3 games, including 6 touchdowns. Patterson's one blemish last season was the 9 interceptions he threw in 7 games. While he was extremely explosive, passing for 322 yards per game, Patterson turned it over too often. He'll play in a much more conservative offense at Michigan, though his ability to extend plays with his legs will give the Wolverines a new dimension. He rushed for 4.1 yards per carry as a true freshman before an uninspiring rushing campaign as a sophomore, though Ole Miss offensive line contributed to the struggles. Lewerke is the safer bet to have a good season 2018, but Patterson's range of outcomes is much wider. He could struggle against Big Ten defenses, but he could also be the best quarterback in the league. That type of upside landed him amongst the top 3 in the conference. Of course, we have to put Dwayne Haskins at number 2 here, even though he barely played. Dwayne Haskins of Ohio State last season, he's at number 2. Last season he played 40. My battery's about to hit 15% again. Last season he did 40 for 57, 70.2%, 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. Haskins didn't play a lot for Ohio State last season, but when he did, he was excellent. The former 4-star quarterback got his first taste of the field last year, first in a series of blowouts, then when the Buckeyes really needed him against Michigan. He completed more than 70% of his passes as JT Barrett's backup, and when Barrett was sidelined by injury in the Michigan game, he came in to throw for 94 yards and rushed for 24 more en route to a win. Haskins was a top 100 recruit in the 2016 class, and it was only a matter of time before he took over the Ohio State offense. Now that Barrett is gone, he'll get a chance to continue the long line of dynamic dual-threat quarterbacks. And absolutely no surprise here, Trace McSorley. Like I said at the beginning, I knew he would be here. It wasn't a surprise to me at all. Number 1 is Trace McSorley from Penn State. Last season he threw 284 of 427, 66.5%, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 144 carries for 491 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Holy crap. He is really good. He's really good. Unlike the previous 2 quarterbacks on this list, McSorley wasn't an elite high school recruit. He was a 3-star and the number 571th player in the class when he committed to Penn State. Since taking over as a starter in 2016, McSorley has led Penn State to 2 double-digit win seasons, throwing 57 touchdown passes. He's an accurate passer, a good runner, and he takes care of the football. The preseason pick for Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, McSorley is looking for a 3rd straight season of more than 3,500 passing yards and 28 touchdowns. He's also rushed for 18 scores over the last 2 years. He's also rushed for 18 scores over the last 2 years. Penn State has risen back to the top of the Big Ten under McSorley, and this will be his final season. If he improves on what he's already done, he will be in the Heisman Trophy discussion. I think he'll win the Heisman Trophy, to be honest with you. I think if anybody in the Big Ten, it'll be him. Alright, so that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was me, or not really me, but this is this website, and me just talking about it. Ranking every Big Ten starting quarterback from worst to best. Thank you guys for watching.